a good evening to you. Let me bring Mike back up here again.
Wow.
Friends, Romans, and country, lend me your
Yeah.
ears. We've got another great show tonight. Listen, I got that, still got that part of an echo. You hear it, Ed?
Um,
Yeah, it got worse.
uh,
Okay. Have no idea where it's coming from. But nonetheless, we're here. Yep, there it was again. It just
Um,
drives me crazy. Yeah, there's a delay. Does anybody have a device on that's listening to the show?
is that
Like,
better? Is that better? I switched out to another pair of earbuds.
let's see if that's better. It is.
Okay.
It is. I don't hear no echo.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get this puppy rolling. My co-host Ed Temple out of Columbus, Ohio. Good evening, Ed. How you doing, buddy?
doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
That's good. And of course, Mike Vilardi, who is running for Congress in the 21st district in the state of Florida. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, great. Hey, thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Again, you guys are among my favorite co-hosts.
Cool. Cool. Thank you.
That's the first person to ever say that, George.
We got some folks here. Alice said hello, and Cheryl said hello, and Dax from Canada has said Canadian greetings. Hello, Dax. I hope you're well. And Cheryl said about the echo, it's a lot better. So
There we go.
good. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to come in, leave your comments, ask questions, be participants in the show tonight, and push this out there. Share, 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 share. Tag people, holler at people, email people, however you do, whatever you do to get people up and about and running. We've got Mr. Mike with us tonight, and it is very, very late in the game. There, Mike wrote the book, The Time of His Coming, the final chapter in 2019. He's hosted 4 television shows, The Time of His Coming, The Mike Vilardi Show, You Are the Star, The Felon, and The Fed. Wow. Okay. Uh, Michael, it's getting late in the game. We are down to a matter of days now before the Florida primary. Is that correct?
That is correct. Tuesday is the primary.
I want to ask you this, and you and I have talked about this several times. Uh, we probably talk about it every time we talk on the telephone. Just how important, not only in the state of Florida, but just how important is this general election in our country this time around?
Well, let me sum it up in a few words. Trump wins, $2 gasoline. Biden wins, $7 gasoline.
Ed?
Yeah. So, Mike, um, as you just said, the election's coming up here, and that's what is that on Tuesday? The primary, is that you said?
Tuesday is the primary. That's correct. Yes.
Okay, and obviously, normally, you can kind of predict things based on money flow, and which is very unfortunate, especially since Laura Loomer seems to be afraid to do any debate, doesn't want to show up to any events because she knows that you're going to whip her. But
Yes.
and so, what have you seen any internal polling or anything like that, or has there been any national polling or statewide polling that gives you any indications of how well you're doing, and so on?
Yeah. There's been 2 polls that I know about. One was commissioned by me. That was a couple of months ago, and in that poll, I was polling third. And there's 6 of us, so I was polling third out of the 6. But there was 72% of the people that were undecided.
Wow.
Yeah, 72% were undecided. And more recently, there was a poll that showed me actually in first, but the person who got that information won't release it to me. It was done by, I think, the Trump organization. And so I think I have a hidden army of law enforcement officers that know I will do right by them if elected. I'm a fellow, member of the Fraternal Order of Police down here, a member of FLEOA, Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association. So there's a large group of both retired police as well as active police and federal agents.
Have you gotten any endorsements from them?
Well, they're nonprofits, so they're not able to endorse. But I did get several awards from the from FLEOA, the Federal Law Enforcement Officers, yesterday. So thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate that. So they were here yesterday, giving me the president of the local chapter was here, and he acknowledged me and what my service. I was a 9/11 responder. I was on Joint Terrorism Task Force after 9/11. So I feel like those people should come out and support me fully. I also am the only one advertising in the Good News magazine. Me, Darlene, and another guy with different districts. We took out a full page ad, and so the three of us are there for District 21, 22, and 23. So I'm hoping to get the support of the Christians, and the fact that I wrote a book on Bible prophecy, actually 3 books, but the last one, came out 2019, I think should also help me. So if we can get those 2 main groups of law enforcement officers and Christians out to vote, then I think I have a good chance.
Now, as you know, that I and I tagged you in it, but I tagged you in with Laura Loomer's, I don't know, spokesperson or whoever she's. I don't even know who it was, but the lady was going back and forth and saying, Mike's got no chance, so just leave it alone and this and that. What do you have to say to people like that?
Well, they base it all on money. The reality is I have the best qualifications in the race. I'm the only one in this race that has worked for a Fortune 500 company, the Ford Motor Company, that worked for the federal government at 22 years as a federal agent, never lost a case, okay? Many distinguishments and awards. And I've been in my own business for 8 years. And I have an accounting firm, Winning Tax Solutions, where I fight the IRS and help taxpayers every day. So who'd be more qualified than somebody like myself with my accounting background to pass budgets, right? Because it's about the budgets. Obviously, we're trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. Somebody has to step up and do something. Knowing how the government works, because I've been there for 22 years, so I could relate to the small businessman. I could also relate to big companies like Ford because I worked there too. Nobody else has that kind of background.
Yeah, I would honestly. I think your resume is probably equal or greater than just about anybody's I've ever seen. That's a pretty thorough and expansive background that it's kind of hard to dismiss it. I mean, to be quite honest with you. Then furthermore, at least people we've talked to, no one can speak anything but positive about you personally. So you're a man of character, a man of experience, and the only thing that you're lacking is some big donors to try to be able to try to pull your strings everywhere.
Well, that's correct. Because I've never been in politics before. It is my first run. I don't have those people to call upon that could fund my campaign. And I didn't do what Loomer did, which was hire professional fundraisers that raise money throughout the country. Right. I didn't go that route. I have more of a grassroots campaign. And I do get, the people, I think I'm also the only candidate in this race that has had people from other camps come over. I've had people from Loomer's camp join my team. I've had people from Michael Bloomley's camp join my team. I had people from Victor Garcia's team join my team.
Now, how did the Loomers people that have come from the Loomers campaign? What did they say the difference is with you?
Well, I'm much more personable. I'm a guy who's actually gotten it done. I'm not somebody who's trying to pretend or fake or get by on stunts and gimmicks. I'm the real deal. I'm the guy that has fought the IRS. You can come here. You can talk to my clients. You can read the letters on the wall. If you look around, I'll just give you an idea of my office. You can see some of it behind me. Those are the degrees and some of the accolades. Okay, but then there's another wall on the other side of the room, and I don't know if you can see this. These are movie star clients I've had. This is, when I was with the Treasury Department, all the stuff I've done, my credentials, of course, the flag, letters from clients. Okay, my award when I worked with Secret Service. I mean, so you see, pistol expert over here. I mean, I have, famous movie actors. Again, more letters. Okay, I've actually have accomplished a lot. So I'm a doer. I know if I get there, I'll go and I'll do it and I'll get the job done.
Yeah, and you're with your experience, when you're part of making laws, you're going to know exactly what the heck you're talking about. Unlike Laura Loomer or any of the other candidates, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Exactly. I mean, here, Flioa. I mean, this is the 1811. Let's see if I can show you this magazine. And I just joined the local membership because I transferred from New York. All they do is legislative priorities, because they're working with law enforcement officers all the time to get things passed.
And just to be clear, we offered Laura Loomer to be on this show, so she passed it up. So yes. we'll just let you know a little bit about her.
Well, she's passed up a lot of shows, not just yours, a lot of shows.
Well, that's the point is that she's definitely afraid of losing, any type of debate. She doesn't want to challenge you intellectually or as far as resumes. She just hiding under the umbrella of big money.
Well, she's a 27-year-old girl that hasn't done much. Yeah. How's her resume going to compare to mine?
She's still a kid.
She's still a kid.
Yeah. Michael, with this mail-in voting thing, how concerned are you about that?
Well, I'm a little bit concerned because I've been living where I'm living for 6 years, and I got, from the Board of Elections, Supervisor of Elections, ballots, for people that haven't lived here in at least 7 years. Mm-hmm. And I took them and I went down there and I said, how come these people are now, you're asking them to write back a mail-in ballot? If I wasn't an honest person, this would have been 4 or 5 votes, I forgot if I got 4 or 5 of them. And they said to me, well, unless they tell us to remove us from the rolls, we won't. So people that haven't lived in places for 7, 8 years are getting these things in the mail.
Yep.
When God knows where they are.
Yeah, it's funny because the same people, I can't think of the guy that's on the House committee. Ralph Nader. Mm-hmm. And he's the same one going around that used to say, you can't trust the mail-in ballots, and I can prove it. And he would go through it. Now he's the same. He and his party are the ones pretending that they think it's the greatest idea since sliced bread.
Yeah, Jerry Nader.
Jerry. Yeah, there it is. Ralph is the candidate for the Green Party, I think.
Mike?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, but I want you to bring this up again because I'm one of them old people. And, when this thing came down upon us, the tax, the day of redemption was moved from April 15th to July 15th. And, of course, I waited till the end of June or something, but anyhow. And it just made me spit sideways, Michael. My wife gets Social Security. I get Social Security. When we got to that part, oh my, the damage that's created. It made me spit sideways. And I was calling your name. I was calling your name. Mikey, come help me. Mikey, come help me. Yeah. Tell us one more time what you would propose for people that's on Social Security as far as it comes to taxes and so on and so forth.
Okay, there's 2 things that I'm proposing with Social Security. The first one is to make it totally tax-free to the recipient. Here's why. For 40 years, you pay into the system and you get no tax deduction. If you made $100,000, they took $7,000 in Social Security and Medicare tax. You only saw 93,000, but you got taxed on the 100. So you pay tax on 7,000 of phantom income that you never see. Now you're 70 years old. You go to collect. The government says, hey, you got a pension, you got other money. We're going to tax your benefit up to 85%. Well, it is nothing more, in my view, than your money being returned to you. So all it is, it's your money coming back to you. All the money that you paid in for 40 years now comes back to you. And they want to tax that again after they give you no tax benefit when they took it from you.
Yeah,
that to me is a moral wrong. And I think that I will win on that issue, because when people realize that they're being double taxed on their Social Security, it's very hard for my Democratic opponent to say, yes, I've been taxing the old people, and I think it's great that we're making them poor and impoverished.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Here's the second part of it. Now, I take the position that the money that you pay into Social Security is your money. They took it from you, but just like if you take money and you put it in an IRA, it's your money, right? Well, it's supposed to be set aside in the Social Security system, and your benefits are totally based on the amount of money that you paid in, right? And a simple formula is if 200,000, you paid in 200,000, you and your employer, because you got the employer portion of it, you're going to see approximately a $20,000 benefit per year, right? So they divided up basically over 10 years. So let's say now that you're married 50 years. You're 70 years old when you start to take it, to get the full benefit. 75, you pass away. Your wife comes home from your funeral. She gets a letter from Social Security. You just lost George's Social Security for the rest of your life. I'm going to propose that widow gets to keep your Social Security for up to 24 months or 2 years. If you, we'll use George as an example, had received less than 10 years worth of benefits. Why? Because that means George's money, it's still his money technically. The money he paid in, he didn't fully exhaust the money that he put into the system. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
So why shouldn't a widow get a benefit? And that benefit will be up for 2 years. Now, if you're somebody that lives to be 90 and you've paid into your 10 years and you lived another 10 years, then we're going to take the benefit down to a 1-year benefit, okay? But that widow's still going to get 12 months where she could make a decision instead of coming home from your wake and funeral and finding out that now she's poor and she doesn't know what she's going to do. She knows she's going to receive that money for at least a year. And here's how we can afford that. First of all, there's going to be a price. You'll give up $25 or $30 or something a month when you select the survivor election. It will always cost you something, okay? Now, if you die within the 10-year period, less than 10 years, it's still your money, and that's how I'm looking at it. Your money that, you never got to use because you died early. So why not give that to the wife and let her use it? If it's afterwards, then that monthly fee, let's say it was $25 each, so let's say $50 a month, is going to pay for most of that yearly benefit. What you didn't receive every month, $50 a month for 20 years, is going to pretty much fund it. And then whatever the difference is, it might be a couple of months, the government will pick up. But that's the least we can do for our senior citizens. We cannot let them become impoverished because they didn't know, they didn't plan, they didn't expect that their spouse was going to die.
Right. Ed?
Yeah, I think the Social Security is it's a good idea. I know a while back they were trying to, at least in the state of Texas, they had they let a certain county opt out of Social Security, let them use a private insurance company or something instead, and their returns were far greater. Do you support alternative ways of getting Social Security, or should we be stuck with just the federal government's?
I know some people that personally opted out. They were pastors, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what they didn't do is they never took the money. See, what you said is going to be predicated upon the fact that they take the same amount of money that would have went into Social Security, okay, invested that money, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then those investments would have grown. That's absolutely true. Here's what human nature is. Those people that I know that opted out,
Yeah.
they never took the money and invested it. Today, they're in their 60s, both of them, and they don't have anything coming in because they thought it was a great idea. Look what happened in Texas. They made more, but they never took that same 13% every year and put it into a mutual fund that would have grown, that would have given them the growth. And that's the problem.
Wow. What about, we hear a lot of defund the police, make the police go away, make them go away from our schools. Let's bring social workers in to put the fires out, but let's defund the police. Where do you stand on that, Michael?
Absolutely wrong thing to do. I will provide, as a congressman, additional funding for police training, for the best police equipment, to make sure that we have the best law enforcement officers out there. They will get federal training. They will get defensive tactics training. They will get what's called a FATS machine, which is a machine that judges your judgment. You basically go into a room. It's a standalone machine. You get a gun that's like a laser gun. It's similar to the gun you carry in the field. And they put on this movie screen scenario after scenario. Okay. And I'll make sure the police can be doing that every month, that they change up the scenarios so that their judgment is spot on. Because we don't want to we want to know how an officer is going to respond in the field. Machines like that, tools like that will show us. And if there's going to be a problem, we'll catch it in the training process. And that person will be behind the desk instead of getting out there in the field and causing problems like that officer did in Minnesota.
Here's a question for you, Mike. Is there anything that you can do to help people with student loans?
Yeah, there's two things. First of all, I'm appalled at the fact that tuitions have gotten so out of hand. And why have they gotten so out of hand? Harvard paid Senator Warren, right? Elizabeth Warren, $450,000 to teach one class.
Wow.
That's absurd. They paid Hillary Clinton $300,000 to give a speech. So we got to rein in tuition. We got to have, I would propose a tax deduction for when you give to a school, okay? Because some of these schools, Harvard has $9 billion. It's a ridiculous amount that could be used to keep tuitions low. We got to reset the tuitions. We have to look at what these colleges are doing, reset the tuition, says you got to help these students. And as far as student loans go, it's a terrible thing. They do have a tax deduction for them, but there has to be, the real problem is that the cost of education is way, way too high. And we have to reel that cost in. And the reason it's so high is because these liberal establishments are spending a fortune on people like Elizabeth Warren to teach one class, like having Hillary Clinton come in and give it, and they're not using the money that they receive from their endowments. And that's something that has to be looked into. So we can create more scholarships, lower the cost of tuition for everybody. There's no reason for it to be that high. And then once you have the loan, we can make it tax deductible. We can defer it. We can lower the interest rate. But we have to pass legislation that would keep those interest rates on those loans extremely low for students, like 2%. You know, we have to minimize those. And I would be in favor of passing legislation that would keep student loan interest to 3% or less for the lifetime of the loan, so that it makes so that it makes it plausible for these students to have to pay it back. But I'm also going to hit these colleges on why their tuition is so outrageous. I think it would be fine if Elizabeth Warren took a 50% pay cut, and instead of getting $450,000 to teach a class, she gets $225,000. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think she deserves $0.
Right, but my point is you can cut tuition in half by doing that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. If you do some cutting all across the board, it's amazing what you're going to end up with, right?
Yes, absolutely. See, I'm not one of these free guys. I'm not a Bernie Sanders, okay? But
Right.
I'm a firm believer in making things reasonably cost, because you have to respect the item. You lose respect if it's zero. If I said to you, George, hey, McDonald's having free hamburgers. Hey, let's go. Let's get 50,000. Why not? It's free. $50. But if you say, well, to buy one, get one free, all right, give me two then. And that
Jessica,
applies with everything.
I hope that answered your question, Jessica. That was a good question. That was a very, very good question. Ed, what do you got?
I was just going to say, as far as whether it's colleges or whether it is, what I say something wrong? Anyways, whether it is colleges for tuition or whether it is the medical profession, I think the issue is the government gets involved, for example, with student loans, and they guarantee them, which gives the colleges the right to just pretty much raise the price as much as they want, because they know they're going to get the tuition in the form of student loans. And same thing with the with respect to Medicare and Medicaid. You have, anytime you have guarantees, anytime you have guarantees of payment, of course, the fees, how much things are going to cost are going to go way up. And just like the drugs, instead of using what is the drug, hydrochloroquine. I know I meant, but instead of using an inexpensive drug, they're waiting for us to help out the drug cartel industry that stands to make $750 billion on the vaccine, so-called vaccine. And so, anyways, it's just, I think the government involvement, federal government involvement in particular, but the federal involvement is a big problem why costs go up all the time, and a lack of competition. So healthcare, for example, should be able to go across state lines. But no, states make these stupid deals with one company, and next thing you know, and then they'll just trade off companies every other year. So meanwhile, that company pretty much has a monopoly. But so do you have what do you think about that? The fact that the federal government and or you can even go in low down to state governments get involved, and they get their they have blood on their hands, because they're effectively creating the problem. They're making costs go up, whether it's regulations or whether it's guaranteed loans or whether it's Medicaid and Medicare for all. As soon as you start making things a guarantee, of course the costs are going to go up.
You're right, and that's why we can't have anything for free, because free bankrupts everybody else.
Michael,
that's what it does.
You have always taken the stand on term limits. My goodness, we've got people serving in Congress, the House and the Senate. They was there before Noah was a pup. They've been there so long. My goodness gracious. And here's the thing, and help me understand this. They're the ones that would vote on term limits. Now, I can never understand that, because I know they're not going to vote themselves out of a job in 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case might be. But what is your proposal? Some of these old stoneheads, they've got to go. They've got to go, period. They've got to go. Either we vote them out, something's got to happen. They have, that's bad English, but they have to get out of the way. Now, how would you propose doing that, and how long would you propose term limits to be for?
Well, my maximum one of the term limits would be 10 years for a congressman and 12 years for a senator. Although I might look to see if I could get 6 in. What you have to balance is experience because it's going to take you 2 terms just to get in there and learn the job. So that's why I'm thinking 10 on the max side. But you can't have people like Nancy Pelosi that have been there 30 years because they build their kingdoms.
Yeah.
So if it was 10 years max for the congressman and 12 for the senators, I think that's, and then you got 8 for the president, so you got 8, 10, and 12. That's more than long enough for anybody to be in office. And I think it's an absolute necessity. I think that there's huge support for term limits, huge support for it. But at the same time, people don't seem to want to vote their congressman out. They're very dissatisfied with Congress. But when it comes to their congressman, 90% of the times they get voted back in. Yeah. And that is a problem. Why? Because they have the name recognition, they have the money. They have those 2 things, name recognition and money. And that's why it's so hard to do what I'm doing, to come and take on an incumbent that everybody knows when nobody knows you. And I don't have the people to call. I don't have the resources. And when I come across people who are millionaires or wealthy, they say, well, we don't think you can win because she already has $1 million in the bank and you don't.
That's some stinking thinking, isn't it? I mean, when you get right down to it, that's stinking thinking. Shouldn't it be this particular individual is better for the country? Shouldn't it be
right?
This particular individual is more qualified to do this job? And that's that stinking thinking that's got our country in trouble now, like we've never been in trouble before. Correct?
100%. I mean, I'm so frustrated with my resume, what I've done, what I've accomplished, and yet I can't raise the money that somebody who's internet famous is raising because I'm not as well known. I don't do stunts. I don't do ridiculous things to get attention, to make attention for myself. I just don't do it. And unfortunately, that's what people look at.
Wow. Ed?
Yeah, that's he's onto something, but and it's well, look at Hillary. If she wasn't Clinton, I don't think anyone would be paying her any attention either. So she's kind of held tight to that name, and as she was a senator, accomplished zero. Anyways, the bottom line is that this Lois Lerner. Am I saying that right? Or no, Lois.
No, Lois Frankel. Lois Lerner was the IRS lady that they get rid of. Lois Frankel is the congressman.
Yeah, who's the one? You're Loomer, Laura Loomer.
Loomer, yeah.
Laura Loomer, yeah. She did some, did a lot of exposing people and all. You did all these crazy videos. I just don't know how getting famous on making some viral videos makes you qualified as a congressman. That just I don't understand the connection.
Yeah, I don't either, and that's why I'm in the race.
I mean,
I have the best qualifications, and I should be the one that would go to Congress and do the most good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen her on TV one time talking about her views, or anywhere for that matter.
When the one time she debated with us, I think it was once or twice. There was only one thing she could talk about, and that's she raised the most money. She'd get up on stage and say, I've raised more money than everybody combined, and that's why you need to support me, because I could raise the money.
Whew. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Stinking thinking. That's all that is stinking thinking. My goodness gracious. Mike, you've been campaigning. My, I've known you a long time, and it seems like you've been campaigning forever, and I'm sure that you're starting to feel like you've been campaigning forever. But
oh yeah,
you've been doing this now for what, over a year?
Yes.
Running your business, campaigning. Has it taken a toll on you? I mean, let me say this: are you still as enthusiastic today as you was when you first started your campaign?
Well, I am tired. I am tired. I mean, I've been, the last push here, the last couple of weeks has been tough. I mean, basically, I threw a lot of money at radio ads on Rush Limbaugh, on Sean Hannity, on Mark Levin, even on Glenn Beck. Signs. I just got another 250 signs in today. I got another couple of hundred shirts in, so I could outfit all my people with shirts. I'm trying to reach out to people, call centers, have people call for me. It is a tremendous undertaking, and the reality is you do need the money to get your message out. And I've been fortunate, at least I've been able to, the last couple of months, I've been able to raise enough to get my message out. But it's tough. It's so tough because you have to wear many hats. Fundraising is not my forte, in all honesty. I don't like calling people up and asking them for money, but it's a necessity in order to get your message out. And I've pretty much done everything I could do. I mean, I have placemat ads, I have ads in newspapers, I have just today I spent a banner ad for the voter guide, so they'll see my video when they go to the voter guide because I paid for it. So they'll look at all 6 candidates, but only my ad will play if they want to click on it. So that was worth me doing. I'm gonna probably buy another 100 hats just so I have them, for the push on Tuesday. And I'll get those probably late tomorrow or the next day, actually. So it's a lot. But I can tell you this, it's been an enjoyable run, and we have some real good people. I mean, Liz Felton, who's also running against me, but her and I have become very close, like a brother and sister type thing. Her son trains me, so, I mean, we help each other out. Even though we're competing against each other, it's just that we have that professionalism. We help each other out. So it's really been a collaborative effort. Even Reba and I have been, we get along well, and Christian Acosta and myself, and to a lesser degree, Aaron, who's also, been cordial, and we've been very professional in the way the 5 of us have run our campaigns. And we're not afraid to debate on the issues because we all focus on different things. If you're going to vote for me, I'm going to focus on taxes, Social Security taxes, getting them tax exempt, on unemployment tax, unemployment compensation being tax free. I got a great healthcare plan. Term limits, of course. A lot of us are signed on for term. All of us, except for Laura Loomer, have signed on for term limits. So everybody has a different niche. So even though we're in the same race, we're not appealing to the same people.
Right. And so that makes it difficult come election day, which is Tuesday.
Yeah.
All good candidates have a different niche, reaching different people. Wow, that's I see what you're saying. Ed, what you got, buddy?
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, especially that you guys are here. You're supposed to be enemies, and here you guys are supposed to be enemies, and you guys have the class to be able to get along and recognize your differences, and obviously you're patriots, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And the irony is, the big money maker or the big money raiser is the only one that doesn't really want to debate. This is the problem with our country right now, isn't it?
Well, she not only doesn't want to debate because she's not qualified. She doesn't have the qualifications, and that would show up. If the only thing you can say is I could raise more money than everybody else, but you can't say anything else, what does that tell you?
But I mean, it just tells you about how, as much I love capitalism, I love the United States, but the idea that the money is so influential and can, obviously you can see all the things that are going on in the United States, and so many people seem to be afraid to speak out. I mean, besides a handful of people, like let's say a Jim Jordan, Everybody
Right.
seems to be bought and paid for. It's pretty amazing, and nobody wants to speak out against Google. Nobody wants to, speak out against all the stuff buildings being blown up, and the people are going, basically, just this whole thing that's been going on, the anti-Trump propaganda. It's one thing not to like the president, but you at least have to not like him based on some real facts. But you don't see any of the Republicans, his own party, sticking up for him. I mean, besides Jim Jordan, nobody sticks up for him, and that tells you how these guys are so bought and paid for. Either that, or they're just empty vessels. They have no morality at all. Which maybe that's true too. But that's what I'm saying with this Loomer. She's getting all this money, which is people don't give you money without thinking they're going to get something in return.
Yeah.
So at some point she's going to have to pay the piper. So if you're getting $1 million in funds, they're expecting something back. And so most of it might be innocent, but I'm pretty sure the more if you can get that kind of money and have nothing you're really standing for, there's something they're getting out of it.
Well, she's, I mean, I've been there with her when guys would come up to her and said, "Oh, Laura, can I get a picture with you?" It's like she's like a Hollywood movie star.
Mm-hmm. She's the baby doll of the Republican Party. Yeah. And that's sad. It's almost, I picture it like this, Mike. It's almost like going on a combat mission with the most ill-equipped, combat illiterate idiot that you've ever come across. Now, I've run enough of those to know what I'm talking about. When you're running those situations and you're in those situations, you want the best people, the most highly qualified people, the most ferocious people, the people that know exactly what's going on. It don't make no sense. We've lost our God-given common sense somewhere along the line over money. Basically, that's what it is. We've lost it over money. We're losing our country because we've lost our God-given common sense. And I was thinking when you was talking about your running, the people that you're running against, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could take like Mike Vilardi and the other lady and the other guy and the other person and make one seat with those 4 or 5 people on there, because Mike's got his niche, the other one's got their niche, the other one's got their niche, and all 4 or 5 people have different niches reaching different groups of people, and put it all together for what is best for the country. That would be wonderful. I know that's far out there. That's far fetched, but I was thinking it would make so much sense. But of course, we've lost that. I didn't mean to ramble on, Mike.
No, well, I think one thing we've shown is unity in the fact that we will push each other's issues. Like Liz, for instance, owns a zoo. Okay, and she's big into making sure PETA doesn't come in to destroy your rights, and I will support any legislation that she wants to give me in that regard because she's an expert in her field. I'm an expert in the field of taxes. And I see the unfairness of the double taxation in the Social Security tax, for example, or with the unemployment compensation being taxed. And then the IRS goes after these poor people that are unemployed, and then they want to seize their bank account because they can't pay the IRS for the tax on the unemployment money they got. Okay, and of course, upping the Schedule D deduction from 3,000 to 10, stuff like that. Taxes is where my expertise is, and that's why, in one sense, even though we're running for the same seat, we all have different issues, and you're going to pick the candidate who best suits your needs, the issues that you are most interested in.
So we don't want to run a popularity contest, although it seems like it's going to be a popularity contest. We want to run a candidate that is going to be the best qualified person to get the job done. It reminds me of junior high school and high school, Mike. If I'm elected the ninth grade president, I will blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Right.
The girls scream and the guys woo and all that. It's almost come to that, don't you think?
Yeah, whoever wants to buy ice cream for everybody will get voted in. Yeah.
Yeah. Edward?
Yeah, that's I found it pretty exciting that Mike has at least 2 polls that have him leading. I think that's really exciting. That way, George, I heard that we have some kind of kickback program on here where, Mike said, hey, if he wins, he's, that big donation that we sent from our super PAC.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to at least double that donation. You can count on that.
I appreciate
it. I mean, look, I have substantial issues in my platform that no one else has addressed. No one else has addressed the Social Security issue. No one else has addressed the unemployment issue. No one else has addressed the healthcare like I have, or fixing the IRS, which is a big issue because you pick up the phone, you're stuck for 2 hours. You can't go into an IRS office today and get help. You absolutely have to call for an appointment, wait a couple of weeks before they'll even see you or talk to you. How sad is that?
Right.
Yeah. I like that. And we talked about it each and every time that you was on. But tell us about that health care plan. I like that.
Okay. My health care plan is designed so if you're in need of health care, it's a low-cost option, okay, that anybody can get. And here's how it works. Rather than tax the wealthy and tax everybody and have 75% tax rates and do Medicare fraud, which would never work because there's always Medicare fraud, right? Because the government tries to, the doctor sends a $100 bill, they'll send you back 40, and the doctor can't pay his bill, so he starts cheating and saying he did other things he never did. We don't want that program. Here's what my program does. I offer tax, 100% tax deduction and a 2% tax credit. So if somebody like Michael Bloomberg gave $1 million, right, he'll get 100% tax deduction for the $1 million he gave, plus a 2% tax credit, or basically he will pay $20,000 less in taxes. But we will have $1 million that we can use for medical scholarships. The students will seek out the best students, of course. The students that take those scholarships will have to go to work for the state for a period of 4 years. But when they come out of medical school, they will have absolutely no debt. Okay, they will have a full boat, 100% scholarship, $300,000 is about the average cost. They will start, $85,000 to $100,000. They'll make a decent amount of money, but they'll become a state employee. Now, what that does is this: it allows us to get rid of the 2 biggest costs in healthcare. One is the medical biller. Medical billers make $100,000 a year, right? And you get a lot of paperwork going back and forth. Well, you get rid of that, and you get rid of the medical malpractice because states are starving. Okay, so the state can limit how much, $5 million, whatever the number is. So you don't have to have that big insurance cost. And now you go see the state doctor. And what this ensures is you have a steady supply of doctors coming through the system. And after 4 years, they go out into their own practice and they have absolutely no, student loans. I mean, you can see just the undergraduate, what's happening with the student loans. They get killed having to borrow this money. So they will not have that, but they will have to work for the state. And those people that need health care can have health care for $79 a month with a $20 copay or something in that facility. So you have really inexpensive health care because they're going to be state employees. So the state's going to take, whatever the medical costs are, $79 a month, and then you just, figure out if it's going to be 1,000 patients per doctor, 2,000, whatever the number is going to be. but we keep that number low and affordable for everybody that needs it. And if you like your current healthcare plan, it's yours. Fine. That's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But if you absolutely can't have it for $79 a month, that's somebody working a minimum wage job one day during a month to pay for it. And I think that's reasonable. I think it's fair. And I think it creates a situation where we will get rid of, we will have, state systems that'll be able to take care of everybody that's needed.
I hear a lot about health plans, but I've never heard anyone explain it like that.
Nobody ever gets specific.
No, they just
Right.
throw it out there. Yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. But that you always explained your position, Mike, and I've always appreciated that.
It's definitely well thought out.
I see that our time is almost gone. Time goes by when you're having fun. Michael, we're down to 5 days.
Yeah.
5 days until the primary there in Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, sit down. If you're listening and watching this show, or you will be later, sit down and do some heavy pondering. Think about it. Think about it. Listen to what the man has said tonight. Go back and listen to his interviews on radio shows. And he's been on here. I think this is about the third or fourth time.
Yep.
Go back and look them up. They're easy to find on the George Espinlove show page on Facebook. Just go back and listen to what this man says. Remember, you want a candidate, not because they're popular, not because they're pretty or beautiful or whatever, or they're a political doll baby. You want a candidate that is going to represent you and someone that is well qualified to lead our country. Someone who says, we want to do what's best for the country, not the party, not this, not those, and not these, but we want what's best for the country. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're watching and listening there in Florida, re-examine this. Re-examine this. Read the articles that's been written that Mike mentioned about. You are more aware of all the articles and the things that's been done and said there in Florida than I am. But go back and research it, look at it, listen to it, and ponder it. And come Tuesday, when you go in, and please go into that poll booth. Go in, walk in, go into that poll booth, and you pick out the candidate that you feel is most qualified to lead you and to represent you. Remember, these are our representatives. That's what they are. And so, Michael, I'll be praying for you, buddy. And look, when this is all said and done, the smoke clears and the dust settles, we'll still have old Mike Vilardi back on the show and on the radio and on the phone and all those good things.
Well, he's already promised 10% of his salary.
Well, listen, remember Vilardi 2020, Vilardi, Vilardi2020.com. It's not too late to donate, not too late to support my candidacy. That would really help me. I got a big push on with radio ads and all sorts of different advertising. I mean, the Trump banners, the banner ads that are out there, doing everything possible to get our message out there so that you, the voter, can vote for the right person. Vote right, vote Mike. And I thank you, George, and I thank you, Ed, for your support. You guys have been wonderful to me, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you.
Appreciate you being on.
Yes, appreciate you so much, buddy. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Vilardi2020.com. Vilardi2020.com. And these last few days before the election, help Mike really push it and get out there. And Deborah Musselman said, never too late.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's prove not only to the state of Florida, not only in District 21, but to the whole nation, we still believe in miracles.
Yep.
And we still believe that God
That's
will place,
right.
yeah, God will
Yep.
place a person where he wants them to be, when he wants them to be, to do what he wants them to do.
Yep.
And wow.
Amen.
Ed, final words, buddy.
I'll just say I think Mike today got out a lot of information. I mean, it's good that you're so well versed in what you believe in and so thorough and so well thought out that it's easy to understand why somebody should be voting for you. So as far as I see it, matter of fact, I'd make the case as far as I don't see how you could be any more thorough than what you were. So as not just thorough, but the plans you have make a lot of sense. So I think you deserve to win.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah,
go ahead, Mikey.
no, my platform helps everybody. It absolutely helps everybody.
And that's what a platform should be all about.
Yep, exactly.
Everybody's included in the platform. That's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, thank you, because you have received much information. You were enlightened tonight by Mike Vilardi. Please start watch
Thank
party.
you, George. Thank you, Ed. You guys are great. I tremendously appreciate you, and I just pray for God's will.
Thank you, Mikey. Start those watch parties. Share this out. Get it out everywhere. Just near, far, and wide, so people can see and hear what was done tonight. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Ed. And to you that are out there, wherever you might be, whatever time it is, thank you. And remember, be kind one to another, take care one to another, and please don't ever be afraid to tell someone, I love you. It could possibly save a life. And until next time, from Michael, Ed, myself, the whole gang here at the Funny Farm, thank you, and may God keep you right in the center of his hand. Good night, everybody.
Amen. Good night. Thank you.